and we want to hear all your feedback on the questions and, of course, the answers. Use hashtag LGD2023. The Lagos Gubernatorial Debates 2023 is also live on News Central on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, and can also be heard live on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM.
We've also invited the APC candidates in the person of Governor Sanwo-Olu, but for reasons best known to him, he's avoiding debates, so he'll be absent at today's debate. But yes, I'm sure you're aware of that already.
And we do appreciate those who have made it their mandate to be available for questions at this time. So we'll hand you over to your moderators, Kunle Lawal and Antoleki. They'll take over from here.
Good evening, candidates, and welcome to the Lagos Gubernatorial Debates. You've emerged from your parties, and now you're on the ballot. This debates would consist of 10 questions with a time limit of 1 minute and 30 seconds per candidate. And the questions, of course, will be taken randomly from economy, security, health, etc.
It will be interesting to add at this point that the Nigerian Fact Checkers Coalition would also be checking most of the facts you'll be given while debating. We will go back once we receive messages from them and correct that. The purpose of this debate is that Lagos wins. Thank you.
The rules are as follows. Any rude retorts or comments is not acceptable. The purpose of this debate is not to attack anyone, but to give a full frontal position to solving the issues. And again, the only objective of this debate is that Lagos must win. Audience members are not allowed to ask questions and should hold applause until every candidate has spoken. And now, for the first question.
Going ahead to the first question. In a democracy, which of course is being practiced in Nigeria and of course the sub-entity Lagos State, parties are voted in, and it will be an icebreaker to the people of Lagos State to let the people know what your parties represent based on its constitution and what Lagosians are to expect from your party while your party is in government. Now, we are going to follow an alphabetical order to answering it, and we'll turn this the other way around for the second question. So, alphabetically, we are to start with the candidate of the ADC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for the organizers of this conference, this debate, for an opportunity to address the people of Lagos. So our party, which is the ADC, the African Democratic Congress, essentially stands for good governance. It stands for people-oriented government that drives a prosperous and productive society where the resources of the society are shared broadly across the society. A lot of what our underlying manifesto represents is reflected in our agenda for Lagos, which we've called the Tiger Agenda. And if you look at that agenda, you will see that it talks about tax reform for equity, it talks about infrastructure, it talks about government reform, education and health systems that the people trust, and rule of law. These are all things that seek to establish a broadly prosperous society where the wealth is spread across and not just concentrated in a few, which has been essentially the antecedents of Lagos over the last 25 years.
Thank you very much. Alphabetically, of course, the next party is the Labour Party.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me, and thank you for this opportunity again to be able to address the good people of Lagos. The Labour Party is an institution that is focused mainly on workers' rights, on restoring dignity to labor, on social welfare, social justice, the idea that you can have broad-based growth with a real emphasis on productivity. It's really about productivity, about ensuring that there's a social welfare system, a social welfare net to be able to ensure that everybody is carried along in the development of a state or the constituency or the country. It's also about ensuring that the workers' rights are protected, both formal and informal workers are carried along. And that's what our manifesto is also saying. And you know also one of the major pushes in the Labour Party is about moving from consumption to production, having a productive economy. I think that's where I'll put the line there for Labour Party. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next candidate, of course, will be of the NRM. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. I don't know, is my mic on? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. The National Rescue Movement, as the name connotes, is really about people, the rescue of society. And the objective and the values stem around the understanding that power is given for the purpose of serving God and man. And our interest really is, the goal is to deliver happiness. We want to deliver happiness to society. And we intend to do that through the avenue and the agency of what we describe as the EASY agenda, which stands for employment, enterprises, social services, and infrastructure. So EASY. Our view is that you cannot have a modern society where people are left behind. And our intention is to ensure that the welfare of the people is paramount, and everything that is done to deliver to everybody, every member of the society. And that's our aim, that's our goal.
Thank you very much. Next will be the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the People's Democratic Party, it's a national party that actually recognizes the fact that power belongs to the people, if you see that in our POF. And it's one party that has proven its track record of success in the history of this country by devolving power, especially in the business community. Today, if we're enjoying the privileges in the telecommunication industry, if you know what it used to be, it is a party that brought about this by opening up the economy for organized private sector to play. And you would have seen in the man flying our national flag, it goes about preaching economic recovery and also preaching devolution of power. So which means this party believes in the people and it believes power is to the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next will be the candidate of the Social Democratic Party.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I believe the party is not going to be very relevant in this election. The ruling party. We don't have fuel, we don't have money, we are kidnapped, we are insecure, so people will now want to get for themselves a good life.
Sir, I would like to repeat the question again. The question is about your party, not about any other party.
I'm going to go that way. I'm a lawyer, right? So just let me do what I know how to do best. So for us in the Social Democratic Party, our intention and the purpose is to right all these abnormalities that have rendered us subhuman. And you will remember that Moshood Kashima Abiola was a father of this party, and we all know as a fact that he won the election then. It's still the same party. We are the hope of the people of this country. And our intention is to come in here and make sure that we fulfill Jeremy Bentham's definition of good governance, which is the greatest happiness of the greatest number. We'll give you health, we'll give you better medical care, we'll do the roads, we'll secure your lives, and we'll ensure that you can move from point A to point B at any point in time. This is the slogan of the party, this is the purpose of our party, and we can assure you that we intend to deliver at this election. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Our next question. So when a candidate decides to run for governor, he or she must select a deputy governor. We often forget the importance of this deputy governor and who will replace the governor in any case of unforeseen circumstances. Deputies are thought to be selected just to fulfill gender or religious balance, where they should be a representation of the gubernatorial candidate's mindsets and selection standards for his cabinets and the direction in which his government will go. We would like the candidates to explain to the viewers the criteria used in selecting your deputy governor. I will be starting with the SDP candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Electing the deputy governor of the Social Democratic Party. Number one, me, I'm a Muslim, and I'm a man, which is very obvious. So we needed to balance it all by looking for a suitable lady to complement me, and necessarily a Christian. And the deputy governor of the Social Democratic Party is a Christian who had been a member of the Redeemed Church of Christ for more than 25 years. So we have it balanced there. We are not in this other mentality of Muslim. This is number one. Number two, she's also an Olorioba. She's the wife of the king of the Oba of Ekpe. And the reason for that is we want to believe that we require some kind of balancing. Me, I'm an academician, I'm a bureaucrat. She's a traditional person. So we can complement it, and this was the basis for choosing our candidates. And we can assure you that in my absence, she's cerebral, she went to school, she's a retired teacher, and she's people-friendly. She will complement me when I'm there, even when I'm in government. She has a very important role to play in the Social Democratic Party governance in Lagos State. She's the wife of the king of Ekpe, although the king says, Olo Yoba, we have issues there, which I don't want to discuss. Thank you very much.
Next is the PDP candidate. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Sure, everybody would have seen in the nomination of my deputy a radical departure from the stereotype norm. When you speak of popular governors in Nigeria today, nobody knows their deputy. But for us, we've been able to break that by ensuring that my deputy happens to be an household name. Not just that, she's a successful entrepreneur, and she's done well, you know, in her chosen career. She read law, but she found passion in filmmaking. In this economy that we're trying to run, she's somebody who has invested a whole lot in this economy, somebody who has been an employer of labor, you know, giving opportunity to young Lagosians. I mean, just like myself. So in doing that, aside the fact that we're a party that is very sensitive to gender, I'm sure you would have seen that. Funke Akedele is my deputy. She read law at the University of Lagos. And we believe that a deputy governor should be as good as the governor. So what is it that we are coming to do? We are coming to run an economy of Lagos. We are coming to ensure that that wealth of Lagos work for the people of Lagos. And what we need is a good manager with a track record of success. And that is one of the reasons why I've chosen my deputy. Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate from NRM. Thank you.
Yes, I describe myself as a nation builder and somebody who understands that the Nigerian political system is broken. And in choosing a deputy, it was very, very important and crucial that we were looking for someone who was not a traditional politician, somebody who could subscribe to the philosophy of societism, which really we believe that we must look after the whole range of our society. And so we picked Mrs. Azizat Dabiri Adeomi, who is an educationist and somebody who definitely is working with young minds and to really help us turn this society around. She is an administrator, and to that extent, we will work together as a fine team. I am someone who, in the various activities that I've done, I know how to pick professionals who are highly motivated and who are able to be team players, who can work and encourage and inspire others. So you will see this once we have the opportunity to lead the administration of this state. Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate from the LP.
Yeah, so my choice and the process by which I came to it was one from a philosophical point of view where I believe that since colonization, Nigeria has sort of lost its identity. Its understanding and placement of the traditional council and traditional type of government that was in place before we were colonized. And it sort of has given us this identity crisis situation, and a situation where the uptake of policy is not something that is very easily achievable. And so that's one. And I feel that it's extremely important that governments now, as opposed to just inheriting the colonizer position, restores dignity to traditional ruling houses. So that was one factor. Also, this other factor about gender balance, which is extremely important to me. And also having somebody that's highly cerebral, has political experience, and sound manager. The choice for my deputy, okay. I don't know what this one is. So the choice of my deputy was Princess Islamiat Abiodun Oyefusi. She is the daughter of the late Ayobore of Ikorodu. She's a graduate of law. She has an MBA, and she also has a degree in management studies. And another thing that's extremely important to me is she has experience in local government, local governance, especially in England, where she worked in the boroughs and local government structures there. So there's a lot of wealth of experience that she's going to bring to the table. She's also a senatorial candidate for Lagos East in 2019 election, during which she did remarkably well. So yeah, that was my choice for deputy governor. Thank you.
Thank you. To the next candidate, please.
Thank you. Our deputy governor candidate is Barrister Mrs. Rosemary Giwamu, and her choice reflects two things. First is merit, and second is diversity. And that reflects an underlying philosophy that says that both of those things are important, and you don't have to sacrifice either to get the other. She's well accomplished. She has served the state in the state judiciary. She has a master's in law and has actually served as a magistrate within the state judiciary, and has served. She's also served our party, the ADC, in different capacities, and indeed, until recently, was the state deputy chairman, even though she's having to balance that role with the deputy governorship nomination as we speak. She's also somebody who has spent a lot of time looking at social justice issues. So she works with the Justice, Development and Peace Commission of the Catholic Church, and has been very active in that over the years. And this is a body that looks at things like social justice, representation for people who cannot afford representation. So essentially championing the cause of the downtrodden. And I think it's important that as a philosophy, I think that if you have a diverse group, you make much better decisions. And I think she brings a great diversity to our team. And I think collectively, working together, the people of Lagos will be very well represented and will represent a broad spectrum of the interests of the people of Lagos.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the second question, of course, we'll start again from this side, going backwards. That's with the candidate of the ADC. Your second question goes thus. Section 42 of the Nigerian Constitution guarantees the right to freedom from discrimination on any basis, be it gender, ethnicity, expression, religion, or political opinion. How would you guarantee these rights in Lagos, taking note of the situation in private schools where no one is brought to book for mismanagement of children's lives, police harassment based on undue profiling, and manslaughter by agents of the law, also with consideration to gender disparities in levels of governance? ADC, sir.
Okay, thank you. I mean, there are a number of different dimensions in what you've said. I think the first thing is to have a philosophy and a stance of government that says that human rights are to be revered, and are to be defended wherever they need to be. Many of the things that you've talked about are actually criminal, right? So it's not as if we need laws against them. It's just a situation where we need to enforce the laws that exist. And as a government, it would be a central theme of ours to ensure that those laws are enforced. We think that even though as a policy, the state has taken the view that we need to enable a proliferation of private schools to meet the shortfall in schools. We think that that is not inconsistent. In other words, you can at the same time still have a monitoring system that ensures that minimum standards are maintained. There should also be a reporting mechanism and an ombudsman unit within the government framework to ensure that whistleblowing, those kinds of reports are taken up very quickly and are pursued to their logical conclusion. I think for us as a government, if you recall where I started from, saying that we essentially want quality of life to improve across the spectrum, across the socio-economic spectrum. And it's important in doing that, and one of the effects of accomplishing that is that people's rights, which the poor are the most downtrodden, as you improve their prospects, as you improve their prosperity, their productivity, their livelihoods, you also deal with many of those deprivations that curtail their
Thank you very
rights.
much, sir. Your time is up. The candidate of the Labour Party.
Thank you. So social justice is extremely important for us. It's one of the pillars on which we're going to build the new Lagos. And social justice for us is also about restoring the value for the Lagosian life, right? And this comes with monitoring, it comes with consequences, and it comes with enforcement. And this goes even to hospitals, where you can bring a person and then they just watch this person die in the reception, or they don't act effectively because there are no consequences to medical negligence, right? So we're going to instill feedback loops in all of these agencies across the state. Sorry, I mean sectors, not agencies, to create feedback loops where we gather data and monitor these product delivery and service delivery, sorry, and also enforce in relation to negligence. So from hospitals to schools to any facet of public service. We're also going to make the DPP, Directorate of Public Prosecution, robust, and there'll be commissions under it. There will be hotlines, places that you can call to report police brutality, and any incidents like this, from medical negligence, police brutality, and any issue that challenges social justice. So we have rapid response from government that will see it all the way through. The idea is by the time we're done in 4 years, when people know that a Lagosian has come to get service, they will treat that person with dignity and respect, because if they don't, there will be consequences to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Okay, I did say earlier that our system is broken, and to a large extent, the politics is broken. Whatever you're experiencing in governance is what happens right from the political layer. And to my mind, we as a society have lost our ethical direction and our moral compass. And you can see it seeping through these things that you have mentioned. The laws are there. There's no law that you're looking for in terms of dealing with these issues that are not there. So as a government, we will be coming in to set an ethical direction to say, look, listen, as a people, we need to re-inspire and reorientate ourselves so that we know that if we carry on the way we're going, we are going to destroy ourselves. To the extent that things happen in a school and somebody looks the other way, or the thing is gone to court and then the judge looks the other way, These are things that are haunting our society. And I think we all owe it a duty to ourselves and to Almighty God to really say, let's turn around. We have to turn this society around, because where we're going, we're heading for the precipice. So at the end of the day, it's going to be this ethical dimension. We need an ethical change. And then we will enforce, through that ethical direction, we will enforce everything that is meant to be enforced. And I think if the leader, if the administration sets the tone, everybody is going to follow. If we talk to our judges and we let them know that, look, listen, we want you to do your job. Whatever it is that is preventing you from doing your job, we will enable you to do it, and to do that job in such a way that we can all be proud of. I think we will start seeing a turnaround.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the PDP.
So for us, we're running a government that is going to ensure that the rights of the vulnerables in the society is looked into. We're going to ensure that we protect them. So for that reason, in our own manifesto, we are creating 2 ministries to what we have now. Ministry for Children's Affairs and People with Disability. People with disability in the sense that we now have to ensure they feel part of this particular society. And as the governor of Lagos State, I'm not going to give approval to any building that refuses to accommodate access, for the people with disability. And they're also going to be part of this whole. For Children Affairs, we're also, because we have to give them special attention to make sure that we have their government taking a very good care of them from the cradle, their health, their education, and the likes. Everywhere I go to, on my campaign trail, especially the grassroots, I usually say this to them. It's part of everything that I say every time. I say to them that, look, don't tell me I'm the one that pays my wife down, and because of that you hit your wife or you beat your wife. As governor of Lagos State, you have me to contend with. So that is already out there because I preach it in the language they understand. So that's one other thing that we're doing. We've talked about police brutality. Yes, of course, there are things that we might feel we don't have control over. What about the one we can quickly do to ensure a replica of such an unfortunate incident? Let me use Bolanle Rahim incident. Of course, Bolanle Rahim was shot and was taken to 3 hospitals in Etiosa, and she was rejected in those 3 hospitals. What I would have done differently as governor of Lagos State is to sanction that 3 hospitals for rejecting Bolanle's body, Bolanle's gunshot wound, and I will be using that to send a message to other hospitals across the state. Should in case we have a replica of such an unfortunate incident, they will know they have to take it back because there is a law which says you must treat a gunshot wound person. So I stop there.
Thank you. The candidates of the Social Democratic Party.
Thank you very much. The constitution we have is not a people's constitution. It's just a document that is drafted the way and manner that is drafted. As it is there, those rights that you have tabled there are more observed in the aberration than in compliance. And I tell you for free, we go to schools. Me, I'm an example of a good product of a public school system. I attended Ireti Primary School in Ikoyi public school. My father paid nothing. I attended Methodist Boys High School. My father paid close to nothing. Federal School of Arts and Science, absolutely nothing. And I ended up in University of Benin, we had nothing. But I found myself sending my son to schools where I pay 1.5, 1.3 million naira, 1.3 million naira per term. So it's an abnormal situation. The public school system in this state has totally collapsed. I went to my primary school about 6 months ago. There were no teachers there. There were even no students. So what we need to do now is to recalibrate the minds of the Nigerians and to ensure that we do what is right. We need to establish colleges of education where you have teachers that will go to these schools. We need to bring in the scholarship scheme whereby people can actually have their children in school at very minimal cost. Our public hospitals, how many government hospitals exist in this state, for example, that we can say is funded by government? There are very few. So all the problems we are having is because the government has abandoned the healthcare system to the private sector. And the primary responsibility, desire of the private sector, man, is to make money. The Nigerian police,
Thank you very much, sir. You're out of time.
Thank you. The next question. In Lagos State, sea level rise has resulted in significant ocean surges and an increase in the intensity of flooding episodes across major cities in the state, making it one of Nigeria's most vulnerable states to the effects of flooding. How do you plan to tackle the issue of flooding in the state? We'll start with the SDP candidate. Thank you.
Flooding in Lagos State. You know this Equa Atlantic City they built there, the one very close to this place. The impact assessment shows that it was a wrong decision for some money bags to create a city for themselves without a city. Now what they did now is they have altered the ocean bed. They have altered it right from from Victoria Island down to Ekpe. So you see flooding. The flooding they did not experience before that city was put in place is what we now have. So the entire Victoria Island can go down because of the problem of this alteration of the ocean bed. So what we need to do is to again look at the problems that have been created. The Lagos State Government Physical Planning Division, they have awarded land to people and they have built on canals. That's what is going on in Lekki and other places. So there is no water flow. The ocean, the gutters are blocked. So what we are going to do, we are going to re-energize the Ministry of Physical Planning. We're also going to work with the relevant institutes. We're not going to create anything. We're not going to bring in any new laws. What we will do is we'll work with what we have now and ensure that the water moves, because it's a where there is water everywhere. And I can assure you, after 1 year of our own administration, dovetailing into the second year, we are going to have a better city, but we are going to reappraise this Atlantic city, because it is a major problem that we are having in Lagos Island. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now for the PDP candidates.
All right, thank you very much. I think we all know that Lagos is one of the sinking cities in the world because of peculiarity and the state of our state.
I think that's an error. Time will be at for that.
Sure, my start.
Okay, I think our tech team should start the counter again so it could start.
Okay, so like I was saying, so Lagos is one of the sinking cities in the world, so we already know our peculiarities, but you see, resolving our problem should be a proper planning and preparation to it because we don't have any solution to it. Unfortunately, this government 24 years ago inherited just 6 major water collectors in Lagos. Rodoyalaro, Shomolu Badiga, Yaba to Unilag, and Abuda Surulere. And by now, they're building the 7th one in Luberin now, we're 1.2 kilometers, but it's not done. But now we should be talking about at least 20 water collectors in Lagos and preparing for the rainy season like what we are doing. The moment I'm announced the winner of the election in March, I will use this last 100 days in office to start my own work because I'm resuming in May. So what would be is that I will engage all, of course I'm resuming in May, I will engage all anybody that want government patronage in environmental sanitation and volunteers to say, you know what, we can start assisting now by desilting all our water collectors as volunteers. Pending when we come into office, then we embark on rigorous. So solution to this is preparing for it. Just like in winter, everybody knows winter is coming. You need to change whatever you need to change and preparing for that because we don't have solution to this because of the peculiarity of our state. Now, if we then begin to now embark on aggressive construction of additional water collectors in the state of Lagos because we know the state of our state. Number 2, if you go to Isheri Ogolondo.
Time is up. Thank you. Your time is up. Now for the candidate of the national.
No,
messed up.
It's just, no, it took it back.
Now for the candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Let's have the bell. The one in bed and the last bell. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The candidate of the
National Rescue Movement.
Thank you. Part of the problems that we have are also man-made. And this comes back to this issue that somebody said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. And we are facing the edge of the precipice at the rate in which we're going. You have town planning authorities that are not doing their job, that as far as they're concerned, once they get some real good payoff, then anything goes. You have, as was alluded to, people are building where they shouldn't build. Roads have to even veer away from the original plans, from the master plan. So we are in a mess, and it is going to take an ethical government to come in and really bring in some consultants that are going to look at this thing very, very objectively and tell us how are we going to build these drainages. Because you have a city that's already built. How are you going to get drainages, sorted out? The best way, the quickest way. And in addition to all of that, you have the unhygienic conditions of people throwing waste anywhere. So things are really building up. And unless we really do take some urgent steps, we are going to be in very, very serious problems. You have people pouring sand, building islands where they shouldn't build. Suddenly you look up and an island has surfaced that they say belongs to an individual. So we've got to really take care and look at ourselves.
Thank you. Time is up, sir.
Thank you. And now for the Labour Party candidate.
So as an architect, I'm uniquely positioned to be able to solve this problem. For me, it starts with the disrespect of or the lack of implementation of a proper wetland protection policy. Right? The wetlands are nature's natural reservoirs, especially in a coastal city. And even though some people might say Lagos is sinking, you look at most of the Nordic countries, a lot of them are below sea level. But with the way they've managed their water systems, they are thriving just fine. So for us, we're going to have a wetland protection policy that is sacrosanct to development and ensure that this is part of the urban planning for Lagos in general, right? Thank you. We're also, yes, so we have a wetland protection policy that allows that to be sacrosanct to urban planning. We'll also make sure that we dredge our waterways and map out our waterbeds so that when we give people contracts to dredge sand from our waterways, it's data driven and is towards our long-term objective of actually creating waterways for water transportation. We'll also make sure that we turn Lagos State to a fully functioning zero waste state in terms of waste management. So we redefine in the minds of our people the idea of waste. It's not something you just throw away. In doing that,
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And now for the African Democratic Congress candidates.
Thank you. So I also am of the view that this issue has to do with planning. I think that, again, we're a coastal city. We know that there's global warming. So we need to be planning for the effects of this over time and over a long term. One of the things that we do is in defining infrastructure for a mega city, one of the elements of the infrastructure is the environmental infrastructure. And that has to do with understanding how the environment will affect the city and what channels and so on you need to have in place to deal with that. And we need to have a roadmap for this component of our infrastructure and an understanding of what it will take us to fund it on an annual basis to deal with the issue involved. I agree with the wetlands policy. I think the other point that I would make has to do with our government reform agenda. You know, part of the issue here is not that people do not all the time know what to do, but often decisions are taken by people who have the responsibility within government, not based on the interests of the people. So where planning permissions are given to block canals or to block the natural drainages, a lot of the time this is done based on inducements, this is done based on extortion and those kinds of things. And we are saying that as a general principle, we are coming in to ensure that civil servants, public workers are well compensated, and once we pay them well, we will then insist that they do their work.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the candidates. You've been timely with questions. I must commend the quality of candidates Lagos has available. I must also commend the audience for keeping the House in order. Your third question. And we, of course, will be starting with the candidate of the ADC. Local government autonomy rides on the back of a restructuring model clamored for generally in the political landscape. FAC allocation to local governments in Lagos are nothing below 300 million naira per month. Even though this is divided by LCDs, we must place into context the high IGR, that's the internal generated revenue, of these LCDs or LGs. Local governments are the first handshake of democracy to the people. How will you in office be ensuring the free hand of the third tier of governance to enable and ensure all-round sector development in Lagos State? Thank you.
Thank you. So the first thing, again, philosophically, we believe in decentralization. We believe that, government should be close to the people, and that those that are close to the people should have the resources to do the work because they understand the needs of the people. That doesn't mean that the state should turn a blind eye or should be have no cognizance of what is going on. But if the people who are closest to the people have the resources to deal with the issues that the people face, I think we'll be in a better position. One of the historical issues that we have had is that we have not always had the capacity within the local governments to deliver that quality of governance. And as a result, or maybe as a direct part of that, resources have tended to be controlled at the center of the state. And you know that these local government elections are handled by state agencies, not by INEC. So a lot of the time what we've had is a situation where people at the center have essentially chosen people at the local government for reasons other than capacity, for reasons other than merit, on the basis of things like loyalty and so on. We believe that commensurate and at the same time that we are devolving resources to the local governments, we are also ensuring that the merit is the criterion for people rising to positions of authority within the local government. And we will have no other criteria other than merit. We're not interested in people who are loyal to us. We're interested in people who will do the work for the people.
Thank you very much, sir. The candidate of the Labour Party.
Thank you. I have to go on record to say that it's a disgrace that the Assembly of Lagos State has consistently turned down the local government autonomy bill. It's very unfortunate. For our government, the local government will form the foundation on which our government will rest, because all our policies will be coming from a robust local government structure. We'll also be giving them back responsibilities in terms of revenue generating, such as advertorial responsibilities and benefits in terms of revenue generation that has been usurped by the state. All our programs, whether it be employability skills that I want to give our youth, waste management, waste to wealth processes, everything will be domiciled at the local government, because we believe that would allow for a very solid uptake for these policies. We also feel that having potential governors as local government chairmen will be visionary leaders will be able to actually turn local governments around, and that has been lacking. Like Mr. Doherty said, you have a situation where they are rewarding political lackeys with local government positions. That will not be the case with us. We want high performance, high thinking visionaries as local government chairmen, and they will champion development at that local government, which will make my work a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
We often vilify the 1999 Constitution, but there are parts of that Constitution that really we need to hold very, very tight. One of which is it's enshrined in the Constitution, the local government rules, the roles of local government, which are really basic education, adult education, vocational training, the marketplaces, the advertorials, roads, all the very, very important things that affect you and me are within the purview of the local government. So we as a people need to let the guys that are stopping us from really, really getting our local governments doing what they should we as a people need to rise up and understand our rights. If people don't really care about their rights, if you don't know who your local government chairman is, if you don't know who your councillor is, they're going to get away with blue murder. You mentioned 300 million, and that's an amazing number, which means that the local government is getting this money in, and they're not deploying it to what they should be. You're having potholes in the roads, you're having classrooms crumbling, you don't have things in the classroom, you don't have basic health, and these are all responsibilities of our local governments. So I hope that if you take nothing away today, that you at least take this issue, and tomorrow we all should go and start asking our local governments, what have they been doing with their money? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The candidates of the People's Democratic Party.
All right, thank you very much. I think quickly, when you mentioned FAC the other time, at the state level, it is what they call JAC, which is joint account, joint allocation account between the state and the local government level. So the 300 million naira you mentioned is what they are given from that JAC, because the money paid, you know, in a joint account which they've created. Now, and with that, you see, if you want to decentralize development, just like what we have now, everybody's coming to the center. If local government works, you see people staying where they are to do their business and to do whatever it is they want to do. But what to do in giving that name autonomy, even if you don't even want to let go the jack of a thing, because for me, as the governor of the state, I would look at, because I've had privilege to go everywhere and I've seen that local government roads are in terrible shape. If they get 300 million shared among 3 local government, LCDA 2 on 1 local government, as the case may be, in another case 6. So in this case, there is nothing happening after payment of salary. Everything that's the center. Taxes that is supposed to be collecting is already harmonized in the name of harmonization. So all of the things have to return back to that grassroots so that we can make the state work. So some of the things that I will do as governor of Lagos State, as local government chairman, if your road is not fixed, I will fix it for you. And I will deduct the money the same way we fix federal road and ask for refund thereafter. By so doing, we will quickly ramp up development in the state. So I am of autonomy, and it has to be real. Even if you want to do JAG, you must provide leadership. Leadership is the missing link here.
Thank you very much. The candidates of the Social Democratic Party.
First and foremost, you have been speaking about local governments. In Lagos State, we have not just local governments, but LCDAs. And this is where the problem comes from. Because money comes from the center to the local government by way of direct allocation. But when it gets to Lagos State, it has to be cannibalized. Because the number of people who are supposed to have this money, what they have on the ground is more. This is the genesis of the problem. When Tinubu created LCDs, if you can remember historically, President Obasanjo withheld the resources of the local government on the fact that that creation was unconstitutional. That unconstitutionality is what is still bedeviling the politics of the state. So if money comes by way of direct allocation, who takes the money? Because this is Ikeja, you have LCDA, you have LDCAs who will be money. So the money comes in, the governor gets the money, and he has to do some kind of fair allocation. That gives him a discretion that the Constitution does not envisage. This is where the problem is. So what we now need to do is to again reappraise his LCDs and compartmentalize them within what the Constitution wants it to be. So when the money comes into the state, we can then do some kind of allocation within that particular bracket. So we don't give the governor the discretion that he has now in managing local government funds. What happens now is the money comes to him and it gives the local governments, the LCDAs, whatever it has. The Constitution does not give him that discretion, and I will reappraise it and I will stop it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. And the next question. Access to affordable quality housing is a major challenge faced by many young people in Lagos State. No question, I mean. From the top.
Okay.
Access to affordable quality housing is a major challenge faced by many young people in Lagos State, especially because the average rent prices of available houses are often out of their reach based on their income. Bearing in mind that it has been estimated that Lagos State needs about 4 million houses to deal with the housing problem, if elected, how do you intend to fix this challenge and make quality housing affordable for young people and citizens in general? We'll start with the Social Democratic Party candidates.
I will use 2 governors. When Alhaji Lateef Jakonde built his houses, they are still there. It's in Mushin, it's in Kwari, it's everywhere. People bought these houses. Level 4, level 6, and the houses are still standing. Mr. Sanwo-Olu is from LSDPC. So he has an ostentatious attitude towards construction. What do you have in Luberi and in other places? 50 million naira, 30 million naira for low-cost housing. Me, I don't understand. How you can imagine a level 4 officer, a level 6 officer who is not corrupt. So I will not do what they are doing, because what this government is doing is wrong. I will now look at it and build houses for the people at minimal rates. I will cost it in such a way that it's going to be affordable to the low-income earner, and it's also going to be available to the people who are there who wants to buy. So it's not going to be about 50 million. I will try and see how best I can, and I will make sure that it's nothing that is too big for them. What you need in this state and in any other state is habitable accommodation. You don't need all these ceramic things that they put in there and they come and tell you, come and pay 50 million. Where is that going to be? So I will build good houses, livable houses, cheap houses that the poor, the rich will find attractive. What they do, they build the houses, they buy the houses themselves, and then they let it out. It's wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now for the People's Democratic Party candidates. Thank you.
This government will be the government of the people, for the people, by the people's government. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. For the People's Democratic Party candidates.
Please bring him over.
Please restart his time. Thank you.
Restart his time. Thank you.
All right. Well, times have changed, really. Governor Jakonde of blessed memory came, and he did wonders under 4 years in terms of how policy of his government. I am sure that the level of technology at that time compared to what we have now, if we truly made this do double of whatever it is he did while in office, and this time we can make use of the air. But first, let's look at where we are as we speak. We can't build 4 million, that deficit, in under 4 years, only 1 year. But what we can do is that we can look at what we have presently. Governor Fashola built Lagos homes, everywhere. And since he left office, majority of those houses are stayed there unoccupied. I know of the one in Igbogbo, the one in Igodo, and the likes. They are still there. So what we can do is to quickly find a way of unbundling our civil servant into it. Spread the payment for them, or rent to own, or whatever it is, and you have them there. Then again, you can go into a JV between government and the private sector to say, you know what, I have lands. You come and build, and get you a guarantee. This money can't come back here. We want to do a rent to own, and we can spread it across. You will still in business. I get my house, people, and we can also ask the informal sector to tack into this, by way of having them to plug into it. And we use that to migrate them from that informal to formal, so that they can also be in the tax net of the state. I mean, these are policies that we need.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now for the candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Yeah, I'll take us to the point about philosophy of what we want to do for our people and for ourselves. The UK today is talking about in this leveling up initiative. What they're doing is that they're looking at the whole of the UK, and they're looking at places where these places are really downtrodden, because everybody needs to, come up so that society, if we take that view that we really want our people to be happy, it will inform what we're doing. So what we will do is that we will try and kill so many birds with one stone. And if you look at the rate at which people are homeless, and you look at the young people that are working and cannot afford their own homes, we will ensure that we have low-cost housing that has the principle of habitat. With habitat, you can use sweat equity as part of your own input into that building, and it will be considered for you. We will also look at farm settlements and, spread out to places like Badagry, Ekpe, Ikorodu, and have mixed dwellings there, so that at the end of the day, you have people, you have employment, and you have shelter, all coming up together as one. If we want to really, truly help our people, If the purpose of government is people's welfare, we can get it done.
Sir.
Thank you, sir. And now for the candidates of the Labour Party.
As an architect, I'm uniquely positioned to solve this problem. So, first of all, we're going to start with the foundation of a statewide rail transportation system that opens up the Lagos West and Lagos East. We're going to look at land titles and giving it to indigenous communities so developers can work with them directly. This will improve the speed at which projects are done. We'll also take out all the bottlenecks involved in urban planning and getting your proposals from the state. We're going to make it as digital as possible so that you can get your planning and it can be surveyed, and you can have surveillance on it constantly going with GIS, so you don't really have to interact with so many people, taking out corruption from the system. We are also going to ensure that we include in planning permissions multi-income housing. That means you must provide for affordable housing in whatever development that you are doing to get planning permission. If you choose not to do it in that particular space, that volume of affordable housing can be allocated to a land given by government for affordable housing to be built there. We're also going to look to ensure that we use innovative technology, alternative means of construction to be able to create affordable housing, and also make sure that, yeah, I think that was fast. I went through all my answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the African Democratic Congress candidates.
Thank you. So I think the fundamental problem that we have here is that the scale on which government has thought about this problem is wrong. They've thought about it on a scale that is too small. So we have the government coming and saying, beating their chest and saying we built 200 homes or 300 homes. And this is not what Lagos needs. Lagos needs affordable housing in the tens of thousands, or possibly more. And so the scale on which we think about these projects it needs to be much bigger. Now, in working with the private sector, I have run 2 pension funds. So I know that there's a lot of money that is out there to fund the development of affordable housing. There is a lot of money. The pension industry is about 15 trillion naira. What the pension industry needs, and providers of capital, it's not just local capital, international capital as well, need is the right institutional structures for government to do that which is government's to do. Create the institutional structures so that they can have confidence to come in and invest, de-risk those projects, provide guarantees where they are required, and there's private sector capital to fund it. And I think we should do this in a decentralized way that allows cities to develop on the outskirts of cities. So if you look at Lagos, the population is concentrated, even though Lagos is a small state, within the central part of the state. So that we need to decentralize that. And a key part of doing that is ensuring that we have the mass transit systems that connect the city. And this is another area where government has dropped the ball. Using things like waterways, things like rail, government could do a whole lot.
Your time is up. Thank you.
To create a broad-based development.
Thank you, everyone. And for your 7th question, I believe, from me. Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos State, is a coastal city of approximately 20 million people, occupying 1,171 square kilometers of land, 40% of which is made up of water, while 60% is land. Almost 22% of the water bodies are lagoons and creeks. Nigeria imports over 1 million metric tons of fish yearly and produces about 1 million metric tons, with Lagos doing 100,000 tons yearly from aquaculture. What is each candidate looking at to make fisheries a major part and use of its natural resources, considering Nigeria's importation of fish at a very high level? Thank you. The candidate of the ADC.
Well, I mean, I think that as a general policy, government will support, well, first of all, government has a policy, my government will have a policy to support business generally. I think that whatever government can do to support industries in which we have a natural comparative advantage is something we will focus on. So fisheries would be one of those. Agro-allied type industries would be one of those. Lagos is not blessed with a whole lot of land resources, but we can work with our regional partners, the regional entities that are close to us, to have joint programs where, as a region, we can leverage on their strengths and they can leverage on ours, as being population, closeness to the port, etc. So we will encourage people. We'll encourage fishermen. We'll encourage farmers. But I think that the way we think about it is to say, look, how can we enable Lagos to build a more prosperous, more productive society? And that's not just in fisheries. It's across business areas. It's in small businesses. It's in large businesses. How do we take advantage of our coastal advantage? Fisheries is just one element of it. We have 25 million people roughly in our population, as you said. This is a large market and we are on the port. If we can train these people in technical skills, we become a natural attraction for businesses who want to establish businesses here on the coast.
Thank you very much, sir. The candidate of the Labour Party.
So for us, we'll be looking to extend and expand the value chains of fisheries across the state and use the comparative advantages of different local governments where these this kind of activities are done, and also creating after-school programs to educate the people that are resident there about that value chain and how to engage in it. So we're talking about places like Ikorodu, Ekpe, Badagry, parts of Ojo, and parts of Apapa as well. And also carry all the riverine ballets along, right, in all of this. We cannot just sit down in Alausa or Marina and create these policies. The ballets of all the riverine communities must be carried along as well. We're also going to push cold storage across all our marketways and cold storage logistics. We're going to fund and give credits to businesses like that to improve the quantum of fishery that we can get to the marketplace from the waterways. We're also going to prioritize ecotourism in Lagos East Division. So it's more than just fisheries, also the environment, climate, green, also trying to clean our water as well, because a lot of our water is extremely dirty. Adding organisms that will help clean our water, mollusks, bottom feeders, into our waterways, so our water is a lot more attractive for the tourist industry as well. So when you do this, you can also start to get funding from the EU, from the international community, to be able to create this kind of preservation. Thank you.
Thank you also for being timely once again. The candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Okay, so this is an area that I probably have some comparative advantage. Owning a farm and actually that really, in truth, this is one area that I think the Lagos government really has just left on the side, that being a place where we could really, really ramp up. You even have some fishery schools and whatever around that are willing to really help people to understand this. We can get urban farms going. You don't need a lot of space to really get a massive volume of fish. In a room this size, you could get real serious tonnage of fish, and then you can really keep rotating and generating and harvesting fish continually throughout the year. It is certainly something that we need to take very, very seriously in a Kickstart program, where you will have businesses that are just set up just as fisheries. Government will give them the grants, will give them the equipment, and will ensure that there is a market linkage that will help them along. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party.
Okay, so I think I should be able to assist here as somebody who is from the riverine. But before I go there, let me quickly say that Lagos land area is not 1,000 something, it's 3,577. I don't know if I'm not mistaken. Quickly, in our blueprint, what we have is aquaculture. We don't have agriculture because of the peculiarity of our state. And what that means is that, let me give you the practical solution. In Ekpe, in Badagry, in Ibeju, in Ojo, where I'm from, all these riverine communities, you have fishermen there regularly. So what we need to do as a government is to first ensure that we clean up the water for them. That's number one. Then number two, we encourage PPP to ensure we have storage in all of these places. I grew up in Mushi. I grew up to know what they call quorum. I don't know if any one of you understand a quorum. I don't know if there is any quorum anywhere now. Now, if the fishermen know that, look, there is a storage at this shore, they are ready to give you as many as possible for you to put in that storage. We will bring back that so that we can make Lagos a hub for these seafoods and all of that. We have enough, but first thing to do is to clean up our water. Our water is very, very dirty, and we can get that done. So if you are able to do that, and we encourage private sector to come and play in this economy in aquaculture, yes, we would have provided this. We have in Makoko, we have in Beju, Badagry, all of these places that are there, just lying fallow, but we will resuscitate them and revive that sector.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party.
This man, he said, and you look on. Warning. He should behave himself here, Jando. Listen. You see, when you talk of fish now, you don't even need to talk of any seawater. Because in recent times, we have found out that the catfish, you know catfish? The one we use for pepper soup, and the one we use to make okra and all those things, when it is dry, you don't even need anything like that. You can actually do it on the surface by building in tanks and going through a water treatment process. This one is the key to fisheries, as I understand it. So I'm going to encourage that. I will make sure our body youth population, give them facilities, give them loan, SMEs, to invest in that. That's number one. But going back to the water, remember, what do they call this? Obokun fish. Obokun fish is the one that you find in Jando's area. That's the word on the water bed itself. It's called Obokun. It's a Lagos State delicacy. You understand? If you go to Ekpe, you will see all those women there buying different types. So those fishes, they are still alive. You're bouncing like this, bouncing like bouncing. So you buy it even live. It's fresh fish. We Lagosians, we don't eat carton fish. It is because our government have failed us in this state that we now eat kote, we eat titus, we eat all those things. We never used to do that. When I was a child, my mother takes me to Ekpe, we go and buy island. Oh God.
Thank you very much, sir.
And now for the next question. Lagos might be considered the entertainment capital of Africa, with beautiful beaches, an amalgamation of cultures, and restaurants popping up on every corner. Almost every up-and-coming musician still sees Lagos as the goal. We have just held the 7th Lagos Marathon. Every December, we get dirty. However, we have not been able to capitalize on tourism. So what are your plans for entertainment, sports, travel, tourism, and hospitality for the states? And we'll start with the Social Democratic Party candidates. The same minutes we've been having.
First and foremost, Jando is my friend. When I win this election, I will take his deputy and make her a commissioner in the entertainment industry. Because she's a Hollywood person. You know Jennifer? So I have a commissioner and Jando will concede. Now, more importantly, you can find out that the world is about tourism. The entire world is about entertainment. If you go to anywhere in the world, you mention J.J. Okocha, you mention all these guys, the gentlemen that are playing music now. They are the ones that are carrying the banner of this country all over the world. The sportsmen, the Nollywood actors, the musicians, they are everywhere. So what I will now do is to remove this mentality of a white-collar job from our children. When they are in school, we are going to identify the real qualities that you have. As a student, you must do one sport. So from there, we are going to be able to identify future sportsmen that will represent our state. We are going to have drama clubs from which we are going to identify entertainers. We're going to encourage, when you talk about tourism, tourism is bigger than sports or entertainment. It's a very holistic thing. What brings you to the state? Badagry is there. Badagry is there. The history of the slave trade is in Badagry. From when you take the slave, the person gets into the journey of no return, he boards the vessel. But nothing has happened in Badagry.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir.
Badagry as a tourism event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now for the candidate of the People's Democratic Party.
All right, thank you very much. First is for us to take advantage of the megapolitan nature of the state of Lagos by making sure we turn it to a hub for film, music, and visual art. My brother has said it all. My running mate, one of the reasons why she's on board is for us to also look at this part of our economy that is actually doing well. And we are going to, as the government, make available the sum of 10 billion naira for that sector, so that players in that sector can, come and tap into it, so that we can get it in the interim. Now, our long-term plan is to make sure that our 180-kilometer waterfront, we bring in private sector to come and give us a Miami-like waterfront in the state of Lagos. Yes, if you have that, and there is what we call mines in tourism. If you have a place for meeting, international conferences, exhibition, and everything, you see a lot of people coming in here to do business in this sector. So we have solution for that already. On a weekly basis, in all those restaurants that you mentioned, we'll be having small comedians to perform. And I'm sure when we win, Conclude will be playing in one of the restaurants.
Thank you very much, sir. And now for the candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Wow, this is getting very exciting. When I was younger, we used to have Duro Ladipo and Herbert Ogunde. And they used to go around, and theater was very, very big. I have actually staged some plays at the National Theater, the Ajakpa Children's Plays. And we have a tradition of real entertainment and enjoyment. I can remember that a lot of these things started to recede when we had the incidents of armed robbery and all that kind of stuff. So people, started going away, and these things never really came back after these greats died, Babasala and all of these. So we will encourage these back. We will build these theaters out. We will provide what I would call the kickstart, and we will help smaller groups to come together as cooperatives, and they will begin to set all these things up. When I was younger too, we used to go to the zoo in Lagos. We will bring back the zoo idea. We'll put that zoo near places like Ekpe and really, really help that and bring in agro-tourism where people can go to farms. A lot of people like this beauty treatment spa. We'll encourage these things and build these kind of centers out in the agricultural area. And the other thing that we will do is we will use transport as a means of tourism. So if you go to some countries abroad, you think about
Thank you very much, sir.
You think about the gondolas and gondolas. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing we'll do, and ferries.
Thank you very much. Tourism. And now for the candidates of the Labour Party.
Okay, so for me, tourism is extremely important. You look at what happens every end of year in Ghana, where you have celebrities from all over from African descent coming back home. Dubai has Nigerians going to go and play in the sand, in the hot heat, something that they will never do in their own country. So the vision of a leader is something that can truly create a tourist destination. So we must tell our story, and the government is going to invest heavily in that, telling the story of Lagos, telling the story of Nigeria, and curating it. We must not be afraid to tell our story of before colonialism and stories that are not regarding anything concerning slavery. And in packaging this and packaging our art, packaging our story, we create a unique content that people from all over the world want to come and visit. You have a success story with ArtX. You have a lot of exhibitions, a lot of festivals that people from all over the world come to. Now, to achieve this on the long term, we must create a safe Lagos, we must create a clean Lagos, and must create a Lagos that is free from traffic, right? So it is actually the livability quality of Lagos is highly improved, because when people are trying to decide where they want to visit, they also look at the livability index of it. I'm doing well. Stop looking at it. So for us, in having that foundation, in having a very well connected Lagos, opening up the riverine communities and connecting them to the mainland, we start to create a Lagos that people want to visit.
Thank you. And now for the candidates of the African Democratic Congress.
Thank you. I think most of it has been said. For me, tourism is an outcome, right? And, it's an outcome of the other things that you do. And when you do them well, the people feel comfortable in the environment and they come. If people have to spend 6 hours in traffic, going back and forth, you're not going to find your environment attractive if it's not safe, if there's chaos on the streets, if they don't have the right kinds of facilities to access. I think that government's role is not to do what the private sector's role is to do. It's not to government to try and become entertainers or create entertainment hubs. Government needs to provide the infrastructure, create the environment, do what it is supposed to do, and the private sector will thrive. If you look at the guys in the entertainment industry, the music industry, the fashion industry, those guys are doing what they're doing now in spite of government, right? And they are becoming global champions. Think about what they could do if government were supportive of them. And I think that this is what government needs to focus on. Let us focus on delivering the infrastructure, delivering the different things that we've talked about, supporting these guys. We can have creative entertainment parks and hubs to kind of incubate young up-and-coming people. We can have a technical training program as part of our educational reform that also gives people the skills and links them with industry. All of these things we can do as a government. But fundamentally, the society, the city has to work. And people will not come here unless the city works. And Lagos currently is not working.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the candidates. And, we're thinking this would take a little bit more time than we thought it would take, but it seems to be flowing quite quickly. So thank you, everyone, for being time conscious and following the system. So to your ninth question. Your ninth question, fifth from me, now about ninth generally. Every mega city prides itself on the security, education, health, transportation, and infrastructural provisions for its residents. Lagos data on finance, according to budgets, states Lagos has a total debt stock of 1.21 trillion naira as at December 2021. Lagos maintains its position as the most indebted subnational entity in Nigeria. Today, listening to the five of you, we have heard a lot of great ideas today. How would you manage the indebtedness of the state while providing the grand city you promise? I'll be starting with the candidate of the African Democratic Congress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me start off by saying that it's not surprising that Lagos is the most indebted state because Lagos has the most resources, and so you'd expect that it's the most indebted state. The question is, what has been the outcome of those resources that we've deployed and expended over the years? And this is where we have a problem with the way Lagos has been managed. We think that the expenditure of government lacks transparency. We think that it is not clear that government is getting 10 naira or even 8 naira or even 7 naira of value for 10 naira spent. And we think that it is not enough for government to step up and say, we are out of 1.7 trillion budget, we are spending 1 trillion on capital expenditure. If we don't know how efficiently that capital expenditure is being spent, we may actually be impoverishing the state, especially because we are borrowing to fund this capital expenditure. So for us, an important part of what we're doing is saying that, look, we have to reform government, we have to improve accountability, transparency, we have to ensure that people act with integrity, strengthen Attorney General's office, strengthen the tools of surveillance, audit, etc., ensure that things are put in the public domain. When we do PPPs that involve government expenditure, the information should be out in the public domain so that people know what is being incurred. There's a fourth mainland bridge now which is proposed to spend roughly $2.5 billion. That's no transparency around that. We'll put it out in the public domain, review it, and determine if that's something we should continue.
Thank you very much, sir. The candidate of the Labour Party.
So the first step will be to immediately publish all our expenses, line by line items, do this in infographics so it makes it very engaging for people. And then in doing this, also set benchmarks that tie to the World Bank benchmarks for what a project should cost per kilometer of road, per kilometer of rail. Now, you find that since 1999, the amount of money that was spent on roads only gave us about 6.85 kilometers of road. But when you benchmark it to the World Bank benchmark, we would have had about 100.5 kilometers of road. So we had an opportunity cost of over 90 kilometers of road. So these are things that we need to change in relation to also plugging these loopholes. Will then open up the Lagos West and Lagos East corridor so we can start to have more people applying for C of Os, generating more income from that. There's also a lot of land that has been misappropriated by this government. No value was brought to the state's treasury. We're going to look into that as well and free up those lands because that is value literally being tied down and sitting out. So by freeing that up, we also generate revenue for the state. Another important factor for us is we're not going to tie the development of Lagos to the purse strings of Lagos State. We're going to create an enabling environment, a government of platforms that allows the private sector and people to invest in a lot of development that we're doing. We have no interest in sharing money or stealing money or taking 1.2 billion to do a rail line that was taking 14 years.
Thank you very much.
Yesterday and nobody's using tomorrow.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Yes, it may surprise you. Apart from debt, Lagos also gets grants. It's amazing that, if you don't have good financial stewardship, what you tend to do is, look, you just go borrow because you can. But when you really these things down line by line, if you're looking even at the audited accounts of Lagos State, you will be surprised to see that there's some line items and you wonder what the Vehicle Licensing Authority is doing with billions of naira. So at the end of the day, you also look at the rate at which they are performing, the performance of the budget. Sometimes it's 60%, 70% performance, and then you're having all this borrowing. And you can't even implement what you're borrowing the money for. So there's a lot of distortion that's going on, which we will need to then look at. But overall, in order for us to manage the debt, of course, we're going to have to raise revenue, significantly raise revenue. There is an opportunity when you look at the level of poverty that's in the state. China was able to raise hundreds of millions of people out of poverty by really going down and creating and establishing cottage industries. So we will do that so that we grow the revenue massively, like 3x, 4x. And that way, that would also help us to remove and reduce the need to go borrow.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party.
All right, thank you very much. I think if I get your question very right, is in spite of this huge debt, how do we intend to turn around or to do everything that we have promised?
Yes.
Okay, yes, of course, we know that Governor Sanwo-Olu alone has borrowed 284 billion in 3 years plus of his administration. As at the last quarter, Lagos local debt is 797 billion. Okay, if you put the external debt, that's where you come to 1.2, about 1.3 as a matter of fact. Now, what do we need to do? We need money to quickly come and do something. So when we get into office, if you are into real estate, you know it takes about 2 to 3 years before you can get a C of O out or paper approved for you to build. It's that bad. But we're going to adopt a method adopted by a governor in Southwest, Amoso, as a matter of fact, which says in 1 month, I'm going to give you your C of O, pay this amount of money, fixed rate. And if you do that, we'll get more money because 20% of over 6 million houses in Lagos are C of O. You can see the huge gap. If we get that, then there will be that paper with people who can use it to get loan from the bank, to finance a project, to do a whole lot. And if we're able to do that, the real estate economy will boom. The chain of jobs that you see, they will grow the economy and we have more money to do. That is a low-hanging fruit for me as governor. So as I'm coming, I look at the backlog that we have. How do we fast track and quickly get people their papers and get money and grow the economy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the Social Democratic Party.
Lagos is not a mega city. Lagos is not a mega city. Lagos has fulfilled one of the preconditions of being a mega city. We need to get this right. And that is the population. After population, you have a checklist of what the city will fulfill to be a mega city. And I say this with all sense of responsibility because I was part of the people that drafted the law, the policy control law, during the regime of Babatunde Raji Fashola, where I served as a commissioner, and I was actually the chairman of the committee that drafted that law. When I was commissioner between Fashola and Ambode, so that is not correct. Owing as a debt state or nation is not wrong. What is important is, what did you do with the money that you borrowed? You can owe. In this state, what has happened is corruption has eaten deep into the resources of this state. And I give you a clear example. You can cross-check. One company exists here. It belongs to their political godfather and his cronies. It's called Alphabeta. A certain chunk of Lagos state revenue goes to Alphabeta. We are going to stop that nonsense because it shouldn't be. It's nonsensical. If we have a revenue agency in our state, Lagos State Internal Gain, why do we get money?
Thank you very much, sir. And checking from the Oxford Dictionary definition of a megacity, it simply states a megacity is a very large city, typically one with a population over 10 million. No other criteria.
Dictionary. I'm telling you what it is, a dictionary.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. And for the final question, I think we saved the best for last. In anticipation of your win and swearing in, let Lagosians know how your first day in office would be. What is the first thing you would do for Lagos? I will start with the candidate of the Social Democratic Party.
The first thing, executive order 1, I will terminate the Alphabeta contract. First thing.
Thank you very much. And now for the candidates of the People's Democratic Party.
All right, so Lagos has a problem. And I'm sure that problem is the monopoly. The monopoly that has eaten deep in all sectors of Lagos economy, politically, economy, and the likes. And the first thing to announce to the people of Lagos is to say, yes, now we have our independence, we have our freedom. And by so doing, the first thing to do is to do an order. I won't waste my time to do order for that particular one. I'll use just a word pronouncement. To use my very first order and put a stop to all forms of harassment from Agbero on our streets everywhere in Lagos. First thing to do. And take them off my road and return to where they belong. That's the first thing to do. And if you're asking for one thing, that's one thing. That first, can we have a breath of fresh air in the state of Lagos, everywhere we turn to? This one is one too many. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the candidates of the National Rescue Movement.
Yeah, one thing. My working experience, I've discovered that you can have all the great ideas that you want. If those who are going to implement with you are not taking ownership, then it's just going to be pipe dreams. So what I would do is I would definitely engage the civil service. We would have to have like a conference. And in that conference, I will be appealing to the civil service persons that we need to work together. And I'll need to find a way of inspiring them. And based on whatever the protocols are, hear their problems, show them the manifesto, because before then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to show them the manifesto, let them critique it, let them take ownership, tell me what their problems are, We will resolve whatever those problems are, and then we'll get to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the candidates of the Labour Party.
Well, by virtue of the order of this, I can't take the alpha beta announcement anymore. But one of the things that we will do will be to announce that the BRT lanes are going to be open to the private sector. That you no longer have to be registered in the sense of having a monopoly, because that's what currently is giving in Lagos State, where you have people waiting for 30, 40 minutes to be able to get on a bus, and they're completely underserved. So we're opening up that lane to the private sector. If you have a vehicle that can take 30 to 40 people, you can use the BRT lanes, and I believe that Lagosians will be happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the candidates of the African Democratic Congress.
The first thing I would do is to immediately commission a compensation survey for the civil servants and the public office holders to compare their compensation to their peers in the private sector as a basis for taking those salaries a reasonable level of compensation within a defined time frame. Because I believe that if you get government working right, then all of the policies and all of the things that we've are on the path to being fixed. So that will be my first order of business. I'll do other things in my first day, by the way, but you said one, so that will be the first.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will be giving all the candidates 1 minute 30 seconds to make your final closing statement to Lagos. But we've heard from the National Fact Checkers Coalition, and these are the claims. Claim 1, Kunle Uthman, the governorship candidate of the SDP, claims the environment impact assessment of Eco Atlantic shows it was a wrong decision. Finding, a report by Royal Haskonin titled Environment and Social Impact Assessment of the Eco Atlantic Shoreline Project did not mention that the Eco Atlantic was a wrong decision. According to the report, the Eco Atlantic project has completed a full and comprehensive environmental and social impact assessment under the Nigerian Environmental Impact Assessment EIA Act of number 86 of 1992. Meanwhile, in January 2012, the Federal Ministry of Environment gave EIA approval to Eco Atlantic submissions in combination with a number of follow-up actions. So, the verdict of that claim is unproven. Source, Royal Haskonin, date 15 February 2023. Claim 2. The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran, said Lagos is one of the sinking cities in the world. Finding, in multiple lists, Lagos, Nigeria is counted as one of the cities in the world that are sinking due to rising sea levels and excessive withdrawal of groundwater. An article published by the World Economic Forum links global warming and sea level rise to flooding in Lagos. Verdict correct. Source, World Economic Forum, Times of India. Date 15th February 2023. The third claim. The gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party, Gbadebo Rhodes Vival, said Lagos consistently turned down the local government autonomy bill. Finding, the Nigerian Senate has made several attempts to pass the local government autonomy bill into law. In 2018, in the Senate, during the 1999 constitutional amendment, introduced the clause of local government autonomy. 27 states of the Federation, including Lagos, rejected the clause. By March 2022, the Senate passed the bill into law. However, state houses of assembly, including Lagos, rejected the bill. Also in January 2023, the Lagos State House of Assembly, among others, refused to approve the bills seeking financial and legislative autonomy for local governments. Verdict, correct. Source, Business Day, The Cable Tribune, 15th February 2023. Thank you, everyone. You have your 1 minute, 30 seconds to speak to Lagos on any matter you wish to approach. It's been a very interesting conversation, but they always say the best things in life are short. So, we will start randomly. I will call the candidates randomly. I'd like to start with the candidate of the Labour Party. He seems to be smiling too much. Thank you.
So this election is a watershed moment, and youth have risen up to their responsibility of not leaving politics to politicians. I believe that our government will create a Lagos that works and focuses on enabling a quality of life for the people and their businesses. The pillars of our project for a new Lagos, as I'm called, the architect of a new Lagos, is to make Lagos a lot more livable, to improve the capacity for Lagos to ease of doing business. Currently, we rank lower than Kaduna, that's dealing with Boko Haram issues. We want to make Lagos truly the capital, the commercial capital of Nigeria. We want an all-inclusive Lagos that takes the formal and informal sector and gives benefits and incentives to taxes that they are paying and taxes that they are accruing. We're also going to use innovation to create a new system. As opposed to fighting the current system, we'll create a new system that makes their system obsolete. We're going to have a grassroots Lagos that's about a robust local government system that has potential governors, visionary leaders at the helm of affairs. We're going to have an open Lagos, a Lagos where we're publishing our accounts line by line and illustrating it with infographics to make sure that it's engaging and setting benchmarks for the cost of projects that we're doing and the lifespan of these projects. We're also going to have a safe Lagos, a Lagos that is safe in terms of security, employability skills that we're giving to our youth, and social justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the candidate of the Labour Party. Thank you very much for your time. We would like to go to the candidate of the National Rescue Movement.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it all, and you've heard some very exciting things. The decision you have to make is, can we do it? Can you count on this individual? And certainly you can count on an Akin Braithwaite-led government because of my track record. I have demonstrated the ability to be able to assemble highly motivated, professional young people who get the job done. When I was the general manager at Celtel, now Airtel, I was responsible for rolling out telecoms infrastructure in Oyo, Ogun, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti, as well as Kwara State. Being accountable for over 85 billion naira and ensuring that there was real financial accountability, building access roads, telecom infrastructure, corporate social responsibility to the communities out there. When I moved into MTN Nigeria as a customer relations executive, I also assembled a group of young, highly motivated people who got the job done. I sat on an executive that managed a budget that was at par with Lagos State budget. We got the job done. I rolled out service points all across Nigeria, hired thousands of people, gave jobs to people. I have done it. I'm not just talking about something that I would like to do, but these are things that have been done. You can count on me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. More fact checks will be, of course, published on Dubawa, the Cable, the ICIR, and Africa Check by Nigerian Fact Checkers Coalition. With this, I'd like to move to the candidate of the African Democratic Congress.
Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 2023 is an important year for Nigeria and for Lagos. And as Lagos goes, so Nigeria goes. So I think the decision that lies before you is a critical one. We believe that Lagos has been managed well below its potential. A number of things have been said this evening. Lagos spends tremendous amounts of money each year. Last year, 1.7 trillion. And adjusted for inflation, large sums have been spent every year. What do we have to show for it? If you look at the quality of life of Lagosians, as measured by indices, global indices, Lagos lags rather than leading. We believe that our Tiger agenda for Lagos, which we've talked about, which speaks about tax reform for equity, prosperity, and growth, infrastructure for a modern megacity, government reform, education and health systems that the people trust, rule of law and public order, will deliver a Lagos that delivers quality of life, dignity, and respect to the average Lagosian, and will set a foundation for a Lagos in the first world. As you look to elect your next governor, look for somebody that has the life experience, the work experience, and the demonstrated character and track record to deliver, who has led organizations, who has managed people, who has managed resources. I have run 3 companies as managing director and CEO. 2 of them are national companies, managed resources in the hundreds of billions, been entrusted as a fiduciary by clients for over 30 years. I'm your man for the job.
Thank you very much. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party.
All right, thank you very much. For over 2 hours, I've sat here listening to plans that are sweet to the ears, which is a pointer to the fact that on this side of the hall, we have best brain who will do better than the placeholder we have in office as we speak. I would have loved a situation where all of us can collapse and form a formidable front to confront this hegemony. But because I've made an attempt, I've been to him to approach him. I've approached Bonfonsho Duarte. Talks is ongoing on this side because I know what is upon us is to see to the end of this dynasty that has held us in Jugula for over 2 decades. However, in the event that that would happen, I want to appeal to the people of Lagos. Let us give our vote to who can win. We need to win first. It's only when we win that we can form the cabinet. Let us win. We need to do everything to send this guy out of office, and we can. We can, and I believe I will, and God will help us.
Thank you.
Having done that, you will now see a Lagos that will work for the people of Lagos irrespective of where we are. We have so much wealth in this state, but that wealth is only on paper. It's not on the street of Lagos. We need to make our state a wealthy state in truth, as against a rich state only on paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And finally, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party.
For me, I clap for Jandor. I clap for him because he's a good man. I adopt what he has said in the last part of his submission to the effect that he said he has met everybody. He has not met me. Because I am a senior brother, so he knows that. Me, I have experience. I used to be in the Ministry of Transport and Aviation when I was 35, understudying the Minister of Transport. I used to be in the Ministry of Power and Steel, Federal. I understand transportation like the back of my hand, and I can also assure you I was a commissioner in this state, in 2 administrations. So I come to the table with a lot of experience. I'm a Lagosian. My father is from here. My mother is from here. I've lived all my life here. I'm a stakeholder in this state. So what I desire is the good government for my people, a neat city, a clean city, environmentally friendly, where people will come from all over the world to see it as an investment haven. I promise them I will eliminate corruption in this state. Because what is killing this state and the Federal Republic of Nigeria is nothing but corruption. We must evolve a system of accountability where you have to do the job and not take the money and disappear. I am going to be a living example. Look at the School of Nursing on Awolowo Road. The place used to be School of Nursing. If you go there now, APC, they have appropriated it to themselves. They have all their posters there. Public property is not, oh, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm sure, first, on behalf of myself and my lovely host, and to it's been great having this discussion with you. 6 were invited, 5 love Lagos. I didn't say anything. Thank you very much for standing up for Lagos, the state you choose. I wish you the best in elections. On behalf of all the partners, CGID, Sakola Foundation, the Electoral College Nigeria, African Leadership Group, Civic Hive, and our media partners, Talks 91.3 FM, News Central, I would like to say a hearty thank you and hope Lagos remains good to you. Thank you, everyone. We'll take a picture and, of course, continue with the program. Thank you, everyone.
It's almost time to make a choice. The choice of who should lead Nigeria's Lagos state for the next 4 years. News Central in partnership.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you to Lagosians. You know, we don't carry last shots. So all of us here have our PVCs and we're ready to go out on March 11th to do the needful. Thank you.
Democratic Congress. Badebo Rhodes Viva of the Labour Party. Kunle Taufik Uthman of the Social Democratic Party. Akin Braithwaite of the National Rescue Movement. Abdulaziz Adediran of the People's Democratic Party and Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress. Watch the candidates for Lagos Governor debate on the issues most important to you. News Central, your truly Pan-African news channel, and Lagos Talks 91.3 FM will exclusively broadcast the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023 live on February 15, 2023 at 6 p.m. It's time to make your choice, a choice for the future. It's almost time to make a choice. The choice of who should lead Nigeria's Lagos state for the next 4 years. News Central, in partnership with the Electoral College, Civic Hive, the Africa Leadership Group, Sakola Foundation, and CGID, presents the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023, featuring Olufunso Dorothy of the African Democratic Congress, Badebo Rhodes Viva of the Labour Party, Kunle Taufik Uthman of the Social Democratic Party, Akin Braithwaite of the National Rescue Movement, Abdulaziz Adediran of the
Mr. Kevin Akoje, board member for Electoral College Nigeria, please make your way to the front for closing remarks.
Debate on the issues most important to you. News Central, your truly Pan-African news channel, and Lagos Talks 91.3 FM will exclusively broadcast the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023 live on February 15, 2023 at 6 p.m. It's time to make your choice, a choice for the future. It's almost time to make a choice. The choice of who should lead Nigeria's Lagos state for the next 4 years. News Central, in partnership with the Electoral College, Civic Hive, the Africa Leadership Group, Sakola Foundation, and CGID, presents the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023, featuring Olufunso Dorothy of the African Democratic Congress, Badebo Rhodes Viva of the Labour Party, Kunle Taufik Uthman of the Social Democratic Party, Akin Braithwaite of the National Rescue Movement, Abdulaziz Adediran of the People's Democratic Party, and Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress.
Once more, we want to spend a good evening, which we say well spent. I bring you the good news from the Board of Directors of the Electoral College and foremost organization on literacy and governance. We are proud to say the Center of Excellence has done well, and we indeed say a big thank you to everybody. First of all, to His Excellency that graced the podium today to answer our questions. I want to say that indeed, even for a non-Lagosian that would have listened to all their comments, you already understand what the Lagos State government is going to be come the general elections in March. So we say thank you to everyone, and as always, we encourage Lagosians to come out and vote their voices and their aspirations, their dreams will be nothing. So we look forward to all of you coming out on the polls to choosing your candidates, and in no particular order I want to say NRM, SDP, PDP, ADC. Thank you for gracing our podiums, and we look forward to working with you all for many more with regards to election, literacy and governance in Nigeria. Thank you.
Lagos Talks 91.3 FM will exclusively broadcast the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023.
And thank you to everyone who came out. Please continue the conversation on social media.
It's time to
Use the hashtag LGD2023 and also look out for more of the fact checks from Nigeria Fact Check Coalition as well.
It's
Good night.
almost time to make a choice. The choice of who should lead Nigeria's Lagos state for the next 4 years. News Central, in partnership with the Electoral College, Civic Hive, the Africa Leadership Group, Sakola Foundation, and CGID, presents the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023, featuring Olufunsho Dorothy of the African Democratic Congress, Gbadebo Rhodes Viva of the Labour Party, Kunle Taufik Uthman of the Social Democratic Party, Akin Braithwaite of the National Rescue Movement, Abdulaziz Adediran of the People's Democratic Party, and Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the All Progressives Congress. Watch the candidates for Lagos Governor debate on the issues most important to you. News Central, your truly Pan-African news channel, and Lagos Talks 91.3 FM will exclusively broadcast the Lagos Gubernatorial Debate 2023 live on February 15, 2023 at 6 p.m. It's time to make your choice, a choice for the future. It's almost time to make a choice. The choice of who should lead Nigeria's Lagos state for the next 4 years.